In an era where constant sharing has become the norm, where people broadcast every moment in crystal clear detail, those who carry true presence and power often speak the least. They guard certain knowledge like a flame that must not be extinguished. Carl Jung, the pioneering psychologist who explored the depths of human consciousness, offered a profound observation: when we fail to bring our unconscious patterns into awareness, they control us from the shadows, and we mistake this control for destiny. Certain revelations, when expressed prematurely or to the wrong audience, become corrupted, misinterpreted, or weaponized against us. Even more troubling, they lose their transformative potential. This discussion isn't about using silence as manipulation. It is about recognizing silence as protection, as energetic discipline, and as an intentional practice in our overstimulated reality. By the conclusion, you'll understand why keeping certain truths private isn't deception. It is actually an advanced form of awareness. We'll explore 6 hidden principles that, when revealed at the wrong moment or to the wrong individual, can compromise your mental equilibrium, scatter your spiritual focus, and paradoxically invite the very turmoil you're working to prevent. Let's dive in first. Resist revealing what you perceive in another person's hidden nature. You've experienced this. Recognizing someone's destructive patterns, their repetitive cycles, their unconscious behaviors, the impulse arises to help by showing them what you see. Believing compassionate honesty will create breakthrough. Yet Jung would urge restraint. People cannot acknowledge their hidden aspects until they've developed the capacity to do so, and premature confrontation typically generates shame, resistance, or withdrawal. The shadow, those disowned fragments of ourselves dwelling in the unconscious, doesn't reveal itself simply because someone points it out. It emerges when the individual's consciousness has evolved enough to integrate it. When you expose someone's shadow before they possess the psychological strength to process it, you don't facilitate healing, you inflict injury. This explains why your most sincere observations sometimes backfire or trigger defensiveness. Jung's framework demonstrates that genuine transformation occurs when awareness meets preparedness, never before, and never according to your schedule. If you possess this perceptive ability, honor it by staying quiet. Your capacity to see what others cannot doesn't obligate you to announce it. True wisdom involves discerning when silence serves better than speech, allowing others to navigate their own labyrinth. Second, keep private your authentic reasons for ending connections. We frequently feel compelled to justify ourselves when distancing from relationships. But consider this: some departures aren't rooted in conflict or drama. They stem from energetic incompatibility, misalignment, and an internal shift that requires no external validation. When you've had something in a relationship, you generally think that it's a new dimension of your psyche. You evolved. Sometimes maintaining that connection would mean abandoning your authentic path. Explaining your departure to someone incapable of understanding often sacrifices your tranquility. It opens doors to argument, manipulation, and emotional coercion. Your evolution doesn't require anyone's permission. This isn't abandonment without communication. It is energetic completion. Attempting to rationalize a soul, level decision to someone operating from ego consciousness will only draw you back into their chaos. Your inner peace isn't a debate forum. Allow the silence to communicate and let your boundaries exist without justification. Third, protect the acts of generosity that remain unseen. In our current landscape, Where virtue is performed for validation, doing good without announcement feels revolutionary. That is precisely its power. Jung believed authentic individuation, the journey toward your highest expression, demands internal congruence over external recognition. When you perform kindness invisibly, it becomes sacred. That is genuine spiritual work. The moment you publicize your good deed, it transforms into social currency. It is no longer pure generosity, it is theater. The spiritual essence dissolves. Worse still, it nourishes your persona, that constructed identity Jung cautioned against, the facade you maintain to secure approval rather than embody truth. Your soul doesn't require an audience. It requires authenticity. That instance when you assisted someone without documentation, without expecting acknowledgement, without posting for engagement, that was transcendent. That was consciousness expressing itself through you. When ye give without attribution, whether energetically or materially, it resonates more powerfully than any announcement could. Let a higher consciousness be your only witness. Let universal law record your contributions, not social media metrics. Fourth, avoid discussing your intentions before they've taken root. There is wisdom in how seeds germinate in darkness. Silence protects possibility. Before a vision materializes, it exists in a delicate, sacred state. Speak prematurely, and you introduce skepticism, distortion, or envy into its field. Jung investigated psychic energy, what he termed libido, not merely as desire but as vital force. Every concept, every aspiration carries this energy. When you share plans too early, you dissipate that energy. You fragment it, you expose it to vulnerability through others' perspectives, criticisms, or disbelief. Recall moments when you shared your vision and encountered skepticism or polite disinterest. Something deflated within you, not because your vision lacked merit, but because it hadn't developed sufficient strength to withstand scrutiny. You were still cultivating it, requiring protection rather than exposure. Consciousness functions like fertile ground, and similar to gestation, your ideas need time to develop. Premature disclosure resembles removing bread from the oven before it is finished. The heat escapes and nothing properly forms. This isn't about hiding, it is about maintaining sovereignty. Your visions deserve the foundation of your conviction before facing the winds of others' uncertainty. Continue nurturing, continue constructing, and when the manifestation becomes undeniable, explanation becomes unnecessary. You simply embody it. Fifth, guard your assessments of others. You might consider sharing opinions about people in your sphere harmless. But here is the hidden truth. When you speak about others, you simultaneously reveal yourself. Jung famously observed that everything irritating us about others can illuminate our own nature. This means your commentary about others frequently reflects your internal landscape more than their reality. Criticizing others, particularly in casual conversation or shared social circles, often expresses your shadow. Those rejected aspects, including envy, insecurity, and fear, projected outward. Speaking from that place isn't clarity, it is projection, and others perceive it. Additionally, if your listener lacks grounding, that information becomes gossip and potential weaponry, used against you regardless of your intention. Aware individuals might recognize your projection. They won't confront you directly, but they'll remember. They'll identify patterns. They'll understand your observations about others' function as mirrors, not windows. Those lacking awareness will repeat your words, potentially distorting them or changing their context. Suddenly, you're implicated in narratives you never intended to create. Preserve your energy and your discernment. When tempted to speak about someone, pause and question, is this truly about them, or am I revealing something about myself? Remember, understanding doesn't always require expression. Some insights serve best when held in stillness. 6. Maintain privacy around your intimate relationship dynamics. While everyone needs support occasionally, there is a crucial distinction between seeking guidance and exposing sacred details. Each time you share intimate truths about your partnership, especially during conflict, you're introducing external energy into protected space. Jung would describe this as the sacred union of opposites, anima and animus, feminine and masculine principles, the internal partnership. When you disrupt this dynamic through gossip, complaint, or overexposure, you create fractures in the psychic connection. Support is valuable, but oversharing every disagreement, every insecurity, every frustration, that is not healing, that is hemorrhaging. Each disclosure invites interference, comparison, envy, and opinions lacking your complete context. Even well-intentioned friends can contaminate the waters. Suddenly, someone without full understanding of your relationship offers guidance based on fragments, and those fragments distort your perception. Energetically, your relationship operates at a specific frequency. Speaking about it, particularly from anger, disrupts that field. You begin emphasizing flaws over development, problems over potential. Jung would emphasize that relationships are transformative containers. They evolve us, but only when we protect their sacred space. When the internal dynamic faces constant external judgment, it loses transformative capacity. Seek professional support. Journal. Meditate, but allow your relationship to exist in sacred privacy. What remains sacred flourishes. What is constantly exposed diminishes. Having absorbed all 6 principles, take a moment. This isn't merely a catalogue of topics to avoid. It is a framework for maintaining your inner equilibrium, spiritual progress, and energetic integrity in a world demanding constant disclosure. Jung's psychology wasn't about pretense or performance. It centered on integration, becoming whole. Part of that wholeness involves knowing what to withhold. Because silence isn't void, it is wisdom. When you don't expose what you perceive in another's shadow, you honor their journey. When you don't justify your departures, you preserve your frequency. When you don't broadcast your generosity, you allow the universe to witness it. When you don't announce your plans, you give them space to strengthen and emerge. When you don't critique others, you liberate yourself from your own projections. When you keep your intimate relationship sacred, you maintain its power. These aren't commandments. They're practices, disciplines of awakened consciousness, a developing soul, a life unfolding in alignment with something deeper than validation. You needn't vocalize everything you experience. You needn't justify everything you choose. In truth, the more aligned you become, the less explanation you'll require. Next time you feel compelled to share one of these 6 things, pause and ask yourself, does this serve my highest self, or does it feed my lower impulses? If this message brought you clarity, share it with someone ready to reclaim their peace. Comment below. Which principle resonated most powerfully, or which have you violated previously? And what did that experience teach you if you're committed to self-awareness, energy work, and elevated consciousness? Subscribe to Fractal Wisdom for content that speaks directly to your evolving awareness. Thank you for your presence here. Now, go safeguard your power.